All right, everybody, welcome to a new season of More Than Chaos. This is a podcast from Eastview Christian Church in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois. So if you're chiming in, whether on the old YouTube or Spotify or Apple, whatever it is you're listening to, thanks for doing that. We have taken a break for a long, long time. My name is Matt McLean. I'm one of the junior high pastors here at Eastview, and excited to talk about how life parenting a junior higher can be chaotic, but there's so much more to that. And we're working to guide students through the craziness of life, but also like how do we help ourselves and grow in our relationship with Jesus, relationships with our spouses or our kids. Our first guest of this season, I don't even know which season this is, because we've taken so much time off. But it's Jason
season
Smith.
Whatever number you want.
It can be season 7.
All right.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Jason, tell us a little bit about what you do here at Eastview.
Yeah, Matt, thanks for letting me come on, and it's good to be with you guys today. Let's see, I've been at Eastview, it'll be 14 years in October, and most of those are working with adults and small groups, counseling, but along the way too, we've had a lot of kids come up and through junior high, and so we've had a lot of different experiences that have been chaotic and also have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a junior hire right now.
We do.
Yeah.
Yep. She's in 7th grade.
7th grade. It's good. I got a
crazy.
6th grader. Started school today. You start tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Right? Yeah. That's good. So Central Illinois, a lot of schools start right around now. So wherever you're listening from, most likely you're starting, except like if it's in Wisconsin, because they start after Labor Day. Do you know
That's
that?
right. Yeah, Wisconsin and the East Coast does that too.
Do they?
So if you're joining in from the East Coast, hey, that's awesome. We're glad that you're doing that.
Means they're probably less educated. I don't know. Hey, before we got on here, we were talking about tacos. What is your favorite place in town to get tacos?
Well, we were just talking about that, but family-wise, I'd have to say it was Tony's Tacos. Okay. Yeah, that's where everybody gets something. Yeah. So between steak I like the Campechano, and so it's steak and chorizo with cheese on it.
A little spicy?
A little spicy. Okay. It's good.
I can't do like heavy spice. I don't know. It just kind of makes my eyes water and I just get to a mess.
What's your go-to place?
I mean, right now, like my kids are obsessed with Chipotle. Okay. So they don't want to go to Tony's. My wife doesn't like Tony's, so we just kind of stay away unless it's me solo.
Is it Tony? It's himself?
Yeah,
is that who it is? Okay.
Yeah,
we don't like Tony.
We walked in and
no tacos.
But I love Tony's. I think it's great. Tony's, if you're looking for a place to sponsor, this is the podcast for you. So, hey, today we are talking about how do you have peace within the chaos of the year starting. So school starting, things are getting into rhythm, sports, choir, band, like all of that stuff is getting going. And how do we as parents help our kids, but also help us like know how to take on this posture of rest and peace, and helping us also to see that, there's things that are chaotic, but there's also more than that. Like parenting is not just chaos. It's more to that. There's so much more going on. So I kind of want to just go off of what your expertise is, Jason, of saying like, what is it about you as a dad, as a husband, that really trying to hone in on this time with your family to say, okay, everybody's going everywhere.
Right.
But what do we do to focus on our relationships with each other, but also our relationships with Jesus and our growth, and how do you guys do that as a family? Yeah,
that's great. And I'll just give the caveat that everyone's always a little bit different, right? Because every family has a different feel to it, and you kind of know what is natural, right? And so I would say whatever we talk about today, I would just say run it through the filter of like, could I see our family doing this, or could I see myself doing it, or what would be a version of that, right? So that's the caveat on the front end. But I think for us, like the biggest things are beginning and ending of a day. Like how can we highly value time together as a family, but like I'm coaching right now. I'm coaching soccer. My wife's about to coach junior high basketball. And we do that because it allows us more time with our junior hires or high schoolers. But also it just is a lot of time, right? So we have found like how we start our day and how we end our day can really matter a lot, right? And what's kind of cool is, I didn't say this earlier, but a background in counseling and psychology as well, is that there's a lot of information out there in research that indicates like the last 15 minutes of the day, could even just be 5, how you end it, and then it will help determine how you begin the next day. So like if you're running all the way and you just jump right into bed, chances are good you're going to wake up feeling hurried and rushed already. But if you are allowing yourself space to be able to just kind of unwind a little bit, there's a lot of different ways to do that. We could get into that, but just that first and last. So for us in our family, we really prioritize in the morning time, getting together, and we just spend some time, we read the verse of the day and we pray with one another. And that might be 5 minutes, and depending on attitudes, it could be 15. So we're not leaving until we pray. Which, that can backfire, but that helps us because it's not just a rhythm, but it helps. It feels like it helps me, it helps my wife, it helps our kids just start out in a good way.
Okay.
And then we try to do it something like that individually at the end of the day. And so it's hard everyone has different bedtimes. So it's that end of the day routine is a little bit more individual, trying to spend a little bit of time with each kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say like to someone like me? We have parents who, maybe you're like me and you just know, like, if I brought that to my family, they would look at me and be like, that's not gonna fly. And the only reason I know that is because I tried that last year. Yeah. I was like, hey guys, every day at 6:55, my alarm would go off. And that was like when we were supposed to get together and pray.
Okay.
But
Didn't happen.
I think it happened twice. And then it just
That's
got
a win. It's a win too. Yeah.
Well, that was
more than one.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm a winner. But what do you say to that? To like, you're not saying this perfect, that by any means, but how do you even start? Like, how do you even cast vision to your kids that this is a good thing? Yeah.
No, that's a great question, right? Because at some point you have to have that buy-in, I think. So what we did, and I don't know that this will work necessarily for you, but it's just sitting everyone down and just being like, hey, what is something that we value as a family, right? And for us, it came out spending time together. And so that's how that really rolled for us. And then we just added some Jesus into it in some intentional ways. But maybe that's something that could be helpful, like just over a meal when you're together, and just be like, hey, seems like we enjoy, or we want to enjoy time with one another, and we're in a busy season. How could we do that on a regular basis or daily, and just see what comes from that? You may get nothing, you may get crickets, but you might get something. Yeah. And then if you get that one thing, then let's try that and see how it goes. That's great.
Just because morning and evening works for some people, it doesn't mean it works all the time.
Correct.
Like we're in a place where dinner is the time. Like that's the time where we can come together and we know, okay, we got to sit together. We got to do this. And it might only, sometimes, we eat for like 5 minutes and we're done. Sometimes it's 2,
out the door.
It's like, but it's still our thing. Right. Yeah. Like, so I would say that even like sometimes parents can put themselves in a box that somebody else lives in.
Certainly.
And then it becomes one of those things where it's like, well, I just can't stay in line with that. So it's just not going to work, which is not a good thing to do. You got to figure out your own family's rhythms.
Yeah, I agree with you. So like with the dinner thing, is there anything that what do you do while you eat?
So we talk about like, what's one thing that went really well?
Okay.
What's one thing that didn't go well? And what I always say is what went well needs to, there needs to be more wells than not.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because sometimes we can be like, I just had a really bad day. So it's like nothing really went well. Yeah. That's not true. You're always trying and hoping that something you find something.
Yeah.
So I think that's been good. I will say, I think it was last week, I was in the mode of like, just not had a good day, did not want that to happen. So somehow I maneuvered myself out of having to do that. Oh,
As in the dinner or the talk?
The talk.
Okay.
Yeah. Like everybody else talked and I was like, hey, I got to go get some more potatoes.
Time to go.
Like,
right.
Yeah. And I came back. I was like, oh, you guys are already done, And I mean, I'm a great dad. No.
You are.
That's like,
it's true.
It's like I screw up so much. And that was like one of those where it's like, oh, shoot, like I really missed an opportunity here to do this. And also to be open and honest because I wasn't in a great place.
Sure. But, well, I mean, that's a fun example of like, it's more about the marathon and over the course of time, like how this plays itself out rather than each moment. Because there's going to be a ton of moments where it's just kind of like, why are we trying to do this?
Right.
Like the morning stuff for us, like I joked about it earlier, but I'll give you a percentage of like 30 to 40%, maybe like in the middle of winter, 50% of the time, it's like not, there's nothing spiritual that just happened here.
Oh, I thought you were going the opposite way. I thought you were going to say, like when the winter, like 50%, that's where it's like.
No, everyone's cranky in the wintertime in our house.
The gates of heaven open
sun.
up and descend on the Smith house. And it's like, this is beautiful.
Anytime that wants to happen, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But it's not during the wintertime for us. But I think it's just understanding like the pace, right? So like in the course of a week's time, like, hey, we really had like 2 mornings that really like everyone was paying attention or that they contributed. That is some of the ways that we've tried to do it differently, like with some of our older ones, is to just ask them like, hey, would love for you to do this in the morning or on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And again, that's like, flip a coin and one likes it and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's always, I think it's just a matter of thinking of long-term and how over the course of time a value can be lived out. And then you might have a habit.
That's good. You talk about ownership there, like giving it to them. A lot of times I think parents feel like they have to be the drivers, but allowing them to lead the prayer, lead the focus, I think is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think it takes something off of you as a parent because sometimes those can be a little bit chaotic. So, okay, well, family, it's good, but what are some things that you do as a dad to refocus
question.
from the chaos?
Yeah.
What are some things for you on that?
I run and hide. No. Run, Forrest, run.
We just got 4 new subscribers right there.
There we go. Yeah. No, there are a couple of things that are helpful for me, but it helps my mind and heart. So like it's taken a while, but I had an experience years and years ago where I went on a retreat out in Colorado. And during that week, like Psalm 145 was a psalm that stood out. I just read the same psalm every day. And those first 3 verses there is a psalm that I'm like, I think I'm going to try to say this as I get up every day.
Okay.
And so some of it's like, like a rote kind of thing, but most of it is to get my heart going in the right direction. And so it's a small thing, but a verse that has been helpful for me.
Okay.
And so that's one spot. I know that I need a little bit of time every morning. So I try to get up a little bit earlier, which is easier said than done because I have adultish kids that work till midnight and need rides home. And so that's difficult. But I know that if I can get up at least 15 minutes before it starts to move, I at least have a chance to pause and to think through the day and allow a little bit of space for Jesus to get in there. So
that's good.
That's helpful. The thing recently that's actually been really helpful for me is to get rid of my device well before I want to, when at bedtime is what I'm trying to say. So like at night, like a half hour before going to bed, like not doing anything on a screen. And I've noticed that that's been helpful for me too. So
that's good.
Nothing huge in the grand scheme of things, but it helps my mind and heart get in the right spot.
No, that's good. But maybe it's not huge in the context of what you think other people do. But for some people that are watching or listening, I mean, that's a step to take. I get up at 5 because I know that no one's going to be up for a while. And it's good. Like it's me and one of my dogs. It's not the crazy dog. Like we have a a very calm dog, and then we have one that's like, rah, 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 just nuts. So it's me, dog, make some coffee, read a little bit, pray a little bit, and just clean the house. Like I clean the main.
Look at you go. Okay.
Main space, and that's really good.
We may have just lost a subscriber
Probably,
or two on that one. Anyway,
well,
yeah.
But the problem is that sometimes I'm so rigid on that. Like this morning, I woke up, came downstairs, started boiling water for my pour over, grind the beans. It's great, excited. And I realized I didn't have any filters for my Chemex. And I didn't know what to do. And I was so frustrated.
Did it throw you off?
Oh, gosh, it threw me off.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, do I drive to the church?
Because you have a supply here.
Because I have stuff here.
Yeah.
What do I do? Like, is there like a sock, like something? I was about to Google, like, what do you do in crisis, in a
Chemex crisis.
In a Chemex crisis.
Yeah.
And all I did was I turned the water off, and I was like, I guess I'll go back to bed.
Okay.
So I went back to bed, which wasn't great.
Restart?
Well, kind of. Because I woke up and then everybody's chaos,
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess like finding your own rhythm is so important, like with that, because you need it. Like you need to have space for you, and that's selfish to ask, selfish to think about, but your family needs it, you need it. And when the chaos comes, it's good to just have that like time.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I would add maybe something to it in the sense of like, as long as that time is a time that somehow rejuvenates or fills you up, right? Like if that time is taken away, then you're coming into a situation even more depleted sometimes. So like recently for me, it's getting to the gym and working out a little bit, it helps my brain. But there's a side of that like what you're saying, it can be so rigid that if things don't go well or whatever, like I could come back and be in a worse place than when I left. And that's not helpful for anybody.
Right.
Or especially not myself. But
yeah. Well, that was another thing about this morning. I was like, well, I need to work out. So I got out my plan and I looked and see what was today. And it's like, I just didn't want to do it. So I'm like, well, I don't have coffee. I don't want to do these workouts.
This day is over.
This day is over. Kids start school today.
Oh, that's a big one.
I'm going to bed, So that was my response to the chaos. So, yeah.
You're like an ostrich.
How so?
Put your head in the sand.
Just put your
I'm done.
That's good.
Sorry.
That's good.
I love the honesty of it though, right? Because that's a lot of life. That happens for all of us, I'm guessing, right? Like I'm sure there's some even right now that are like, that was my day today. And so there's something honest about that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, and that's what we hope to do with this podcast is like the guests that we have on, the conversations that we have. We hope to be honest with you. We're not perfect here in no way, shape, or form, but we like to think we're trying to figure it out. So as you go through life's parents, and even if you're a grandparent listening to this podcast, just know that things can be chaotic, but there's stuff within the chaos that's more, and it's valuable and it's good. Even this morning as we were getting our kids ready, I know that my son was so excited just to start junior high. And
it's a big day.
Gave him a hug and, told him I loved him, and he was off. And so even in the craziness, I saw joy from him. So it's good. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Hope you'll come back for another episode, and I hope you'll subscribe, like and subscribe, do all of the things, and follow us, share it, whatever you need to do. And hey, if you're in Bloomington Normal or a surrounding area, come check out Eastview sometime. We'd love to have you see what God's doing here at our church and in our community here. So thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next episode.